Hello, welcome to part 1 of our Zafina Basics Guide. Reminder that this is game version 4.11. This first part we will be focusing on essential moves. In part 2 we'll talk about basic or common game plan elements. Then finally in part 3 we'll go over some referential items like punishers and combos. Before we continue, if you're brand new to Tekken and do not understand all of the terminology, jargon, and so forth, we do have a Tekken 7 System Basics Guide on this channel, which is broken into 6 parts for easier viewing. You can find a link to those as well as a couple of other good beginner resources in the video description below. And as always, there's the link to the written version of this guide down there too, should you need it. That's all I have, so let's talk about the Azazel hybrid, Zafina. As usual, we'll talk stances in part 2. Since we will reference them occasionally in this list, note that they are Scarecrow or SCR, Mantis or MNT, and Tarantula or TRT. Zafina's jabs are a little subpar, namely because 1-2 is -4 on block and only +4 on hit, but her other options can still be very useful. 1-3 is a jailing natural combo that can go to SCR, 1-4 is a high mid that goes to TRT, both 2-1 and 2-2 are safe high-mid natural combos on counter hit with third hits for additional cover, although those third hits can be very risky. 1-4 will likely be the most useful if you notice that they're trying to quickly duck and punish the second hit of your string, since counter hit 1-4 will launch. Mostly though, you're going to be doing single jab checks, but since her 2 jab is also I-10, having safe high mids or jailing strings can be really useful. 1+2 is I-16, but all 3 hits of the string are mid, and although each hit is punishable on block, counter hit 1+2 is a launcher, as is the last hit of the string, which is guaranteed if the second hit lands counter hit. So you'll see Zafs use 1+2 to hunt for the occasional counter hit launch, then the other 2 hits to provide more cover and another counter hit launch opportunity if they try to punish it. Forward 3 back is a safe long-range launcher. It is a high and a little slow at I-21, but nice damage. Forward 3 will automatically go to SCR, which is good if you want to run SCR mixes on block since it's +3, but you won't get a full combo if it connects, so it's normally best to go back to neutral since it can launch at a really long range. Forward 4 is a very quick, safe knockdown high, free back 3 on hit, incredibly good move. Forward 1+2 is a safe, chunky, wall bouncing mid, a little slow but still very powerful, especially at the wall. Down forward 1 is your I-13 mid poke. Hers has a really low hitbox and tracks extremely well to her left, +7 on hit, -5 on block, which is below average, but the string options tend to make up for that. Down forward 1-4 is a safe natural combo splatter, although it can be ducked. Down forward 1-2 is also NC, mid-mid, -13 on block, but also has a third knockdown hit for cover, so it often goes unpunished. It's a really strong down forward 1. Down forward 2 is an I-16 mid launcher. We normally don't mention punishers in this section, but down forward 2 is amazing since it's only -12 on block, and for a couple frames on startup, it has a legitimate crouch status. It's insanely good. Down forward 1+2 is a safe mid high crushing homing launcher, very slow, which weirdly works in its favor since opponents will often swing into it thinking they can interrupt or do something about it, but by the time they realize it's not one of her other slower moves, it's too late. Very much worth the occasional use. Down 3 is an I-22 long-range low poke. It can be stepped, but you can make it really hard for them with proper spacing. It crushes early at frame 6, notoriously goes under some mids, and can launch if you hold down to go into MNT, which you'll usually do anyway since it also makes it -13 on block instead of -15. Great low that you should use as often as you can. Down back 2 is a safe I-13 mid, +3 on hit, knockdown on counter hit. It looks identical to the second hit of down forward 1-2, but with better frames. Down back 3 is an I-18 low poke that's +3 going into SCR. Down back 3 back will leave you in neutral, but only 0 on hit, although it's only -11 on block in that instance. Regardless, another way to get some instant SCR offense going. Down back 4-2 is an NCC launch string, starts with an I-22 high crushing low. Both hits are only -13 on block, so not terrible for a crushing counter hit read, but that second hit is really important in allowing you to use down back 4 as a poke, since down back 4 is -4 on hit. The second hit is going to make them hesitate a lot, so you'll get some of that initiative back. Back 2 is a safe homing high, knockdown on hit, counter hit launch, a little slow but otherwise very good. Back 3 is an I-24 mid power crush, -5 on hit and counter hit, although it is safe on block. Not the greatest power crush, but it's her only power crush from neutral, which is why it's noteworthy. Back 4-4 is an I-22 mid-mid knockdown splatter. First hit is safe and the second hit is confirmable, which is where it really shines. Back 4 is -9, which sucks, but again the second hit will give you some of that back. Back 1+2 is an I-16 high crushing low poke with absurd range. Very punishable on block without proper spacing, but arguably still the most annoying low in the game. Up 4-3 is a safe low crushing mid, knockdown for a free down 2 on hit, although the Oki is absurd, so potentially more than that if they get up in a weird manner. Up forward 4 is an I-17 mid launcher, -13 on block. It's just her version of hop kick, but since you have down forward 2, you don't need it for a whiff punisher, yet it's still a low crushing mid launcher and those will always have a use. Forward 2 is an I-15 homing move, +1 on block, knockdown on hit, and a counter hit launch. Easily one of her best moves, just be careful since it can be ducked, although its speed tends to make up for that if you're mixing mids properly. Forward 3 is an I-20 mid, +4 on block, +9 on hit, and a counter hit launch. Another one of her best moves. Automatically goes to SCR, but you can stay neutral by holding back. You'll get your frames or a juggle either way, so it's purely preference. Forward 4 is a safe I-17 low crushing mid homing move, knockdown splat on hit, yet another good homing move, although with more range than her others, so you can set up some spacing traps with it. Zafina's full crouch while standing game is pretty weak, but a couple moves to note. She has an I-11 while standing 4, but it has worse block frames than you typically see at -7. While standing 1-2 and while standing 2 you'll normally reserve for punishing, although there is some weirdness you can do with while standing 2 down because of how she rolls back, so it can be weird to punish. Her best full crouch while standing moves for general use are going to be full crouch 4, the generic toe kick, and full crouch down forward 3, and I-23 knockdown low. That's very risky. But strictly speaking, you probably won't use a lot of full croucher while standing outside of the punishers. Lastly, Zafina's Rage Drive is an I-14 mid-mid launcher, whopping +19 G on block. Note the 2 hits. The second hit is the one that actually gives you the big stun or the launch, it's just not I-14. This also gives you access to a 14 frame launch punisher, much like Steve's. Overall, a really good Rage Drive. This brings us to the end of part 1. We hope this list helps you focus on Zaf's most important moves. In part 2, we'll talk a bit more about application. Expect that here in a couple of days. And with that, thank you for checking out this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Also be sure to turn on notifications if you'd like to get alerted as soon as a new vid is uploaded. I also try to stream whenever I can, so the link to Twitch is down in the video description below. You will find Twitter and Facebook links down there too. Lastly, special thanks to our 3 patrons, Tato, Apples, and Overhaul. That support means a lot. Patreon is definitely the best way to support your favorite content creators, and the more support the channel gets, the more content I can afford to do. Stay safe everyone, and we'll see you next time.